MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. All right, what's going on? How we doing? Hope everybody had a good week. Sound check is coming through good. No. Not seeing any strange activity on Discord, so we may be alright today. Had to change some settings over there. Alright, so today is probably, today is going to be like my last day for a few days. Last day of trading for a few days. Next week, got some other business to take care of, so there won't be a stream at least next Monday. So let's get it in today. Hold on, got one thing I gotta do over here. All right. Go ahead and bring this up. Here's our pre-market volume check. Pretty much shared sentiment across the board. And NQ pushed a little deeper into its bear zone than the rest of the indices. What's going on, Corey? Bit increase in the ATR compared to yesterday. We had heavy volume this morning. Yep. And I did my pre-market, well, not my pre-market, but my power range check in the morning. I think this is the heaviest for the week, if I'm not mistaken. Slightly. Tuesday was also in the 140s, yeah, but still it feels like the strongest volume. So I would say it's actually kind of in line with Tuesday. It's the timing that I got that volume. So we got some strong volume to close out today, not this week. Nothing significant on the calendar. I think you will be live. I think you would be live. Not sure. Alright, that's good enough for today. It's a bunch of continued inventory, cheap inventory hunting. And we are open. I need to get my significant volume gap around PR -2, that's 14,680 area. All the way up to 14,720. It's like a bit of a slow open. We are somewhat trending from the open. We picked up some inventory, a little bit more inventory down that 620 area right at the open. But it's just a bit of a push, but it doesn't feel like it's a lot of, like the typical kind of RTH open that we usually see. Found some supply over MSRP. I'm extending my mechanical ranges. Get kind of got a lot of what was I calling it before? Yeah, self-fulfillment back towards that inventory, that opening, that pre-RTH inventory, if I can get my words out. Wasn't completely focused at the open, but I haven't had any triggers as of yet. Right now, the print has me short biased. So I'm just there's a lot of budgeting going on, or what I would refer to as budgeting. Haven't really decided to take the market seriously and in one direction yet. Back above MSRP. And then when I refer to MSRP, I'm usually speaking of like a long-term indicator. Like the most popular one would be VWAP. I was in a room yesterday where they were talking about the VWAP, how it's commonly used with institutions. I just look at it as a price that the big money, the big players are trying to beat. It's a number that they're trying to beat. So like, let's just say if you're looking to buy a car and then the regular price for it was, let's just say $20,000. If you can get it for 18, that's what you're trying to get it for, but you don't want to pay 25. So that's just how I kind of take that thought process into looking at the indicators that I would call MSRP. As a way of looking at how institutions and other major players will be using the numbers from those algorithms. They're just algorithms. Now we're back below some mechanical points. Like we're trying to, work in both sides, still budgeting, doing what we can with the orders till we're ready to either take our inventory to supply or continue hunting for more cheaper inventory. What we've seen over the last couple of days, the long position does make more sense. From a wholesale perspective, we've been collecting inventory for a majority of the week, most of the previous sessions. At some point, you want to. There's been some budging along the way, so we just haven't been holding on to all the inventory. But at some point, you want to, your inventory to get kind of heavy, or their inventory get kind of heavy, and want to sell it to supply. But the way that this has been happening, like if you look at it, if you zoom out from a larger perspective, it seems like it's just been straight sell-off. But once you zoom into it, see it's been a lot of up down, like quick up down. So we've been buying some inventory, letting go of a decent portion of it, the supply, like quickly just buying it, getting rid of it, buying it, getting rid of it, to where it seems like they have a overall goal of getting inventory at a much lower price. With the participation that's here, you can only, can't go straight there. You gotta work your way there. So I was still going through all that, partially to buy myself time to really lock in and get focused and in tune with what's going on. So let me go ahead and start looking for my triggers to take. Still not done collecting inventory. Still not done budgeting. It's up, down, quote unquote, choppy price action. I'm also at the same time, when I'm really locking in and getting it in tune as much as I can with the business of today, I'm also letting them work out this choppy area, this budgeting. Still maintaining that frequency. Looking at that 640 area. Want to be interested in taking advantage of the liquidity below that. Good stuff, Corey. All right, 640 back toward that supply, top of our value area. I got it marked off around 680. 680 would be a push of the supply. Gonna get a supply response up there around 660, 670. Right back to inventory with the quickness. Another inventory response in that 640 range. Not part of my strategy for this morning, but does give a clear range to take some low risk trades if, depending on what your strategy is, trading the edges of this open range. And so we did kind of find some supply over that 680 area and cleared hot. I appreciate your comments, but if there's something that you're not really liking about the stream, I'm just not trying to be mean, but honestly, you don't have to be here. Brief little exploration of supply back to MSRP. Still didn't get a good setup for myself. I'm just still being patient. We're already almost at my B-Force break. Trying to see if we about 5 minutes before B period. Wouldn't be surprised to see.
manifesting. There is one thing that I can't see that you have to see spiritually as a reflection of this physical thing I'm looking at, and that would be the spiritual people witnessing and participating, who have an awareness of it, of the elephant in the room as I'm describing it. So I may be describing it in a different way, but if they're listening, they would absolutely hear and see what I'm describing. It would be fitting their view. I would just be describing it in a different way. But you're still participating each day, and you're responding and you're dancing around because you would have to, you're being forced to. Because at each price, there's something that recognizes you. Literally, that's not even a joke. We're seeing it right now. Like, look at this. Could you think about like any other time, like in the before time, where the Nasdaq would be coming for that low to break the session low after doing that whole liquidity grab, catching buyers at the high? We've been doing that for the last 30 minutes. And then here we are, this is the flutter down to where we just do the smack down session low. No, 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 no. No, we're not doing that anymore because I'm now aware of that. So when everyone jumps in for that, because there's going to be a frequency of participation to represent that exact thing, come in. And because I've already priced them in, guess what? I'm going to squeeze the shit out of them. And then I get to get that release. I get to get that in print. It's a data set. It's also programming. It's happening on multiple levels, man. We're so deep in it. And you see, this is why for me, the markets literally represent the matrix code of the reality. You can see the spiritual imprints. Literally, we've got a physical manifestation of it. And it's happening. It's happening. All right, I'll stop. I think I kind of got out that little bit I needed to.
Good stuff. Definitely good stuff. And like to speak to kind of you mentioned something like it has to, there has to be a response, right? And there are certain entities that have to respond. So like when I mentioned earlier about how I was in a room yesterday and they were talking about like the VWAP. They were specifically talking about the VWAP, and I call it MSRP. But most of these institutions and the big players, they're running off of automated systems. And because these systems are automated, these systems have to react when how they've been coded to act. Like they have to act when they're told to, right? So this is also why we see, from my perspective, why we see price trade so mechanically and why it's so consistent. Because the function of the market behind all of that is there has to be actions for it to be quote unquote what's the word? I can't think of the word. Efficient. That word they throw out all the time is the market efficient. It's efficient from that has to be an action, but in terms of what everybody's looking for in terms of efficiency, it's not really that efficient.
Bro, I'm getting so fired up. It's basically a fucking dance club over here. Literally, it's a dance club, and I'm dancing because there's a battle going on for real. Regardless of if you believe anything I'm saying, it's happening for real, and it's happening by way of frequency. So there's no faking it. It is what it is, and it's gonna manifest, period. And because it is happening for real, it's like what you're saying, okay, when you talk about the mechanics to what's happening, right? So because there is a way of measure, because we're here in the physical and there's separation, so there's now measure. So where I've got grade, shade, spectrum, degrees, I can measure. If I'm witnessing, I'm gonna measure. So because we can measure here in this place they call Earth, quote unquote, we can measure things in speed, we got this thing called time. It's a big construct within the whole matrix, within the language. Time is a major, major construct. So in time, and when I'm measuring, it's going to hold, if you will, a truth to things if I'm at point of time moving around. Okay. So you gave me some variables to work with as a machine. You said that there's these things that have to move. Okay. Cuz it's a game, so all I need to do is trigger them to move because they have to move, right? So what happens when I find out the Rolodex to the movement, if you will, to the construct, because everybody's moving on the same thing, if you will. Let's think about that. Let's say we've got the retail crowd who only knows what they know and they don't know what they don't know, and I've got the institution crowd that's pricing all of this mechanism, they hold the function, the foundational framework to the matrix. Because if this falls down now, there's gonna have to be something else to replace it, because and it's gonna happen by way of frequency, because what's falling down is only our awareness to the scene, because it's not ever really falling down, or all of this is just language. It's all bullshit. The truth really is. So what will happen is there's going to be a change. Anyways, what I'm saying is back to this mechanical thing. So if I'm aware of all these things and I've just been measuring it, and then I get to move around and I'm seeing now I can control it, literally, I'm going to have to go through our chat, because there was a literal day where I could see this turn on. So there becomes a time where where you can't fake it by way of frequency, I'm now holding the space to where now I know the triggers. I know all of the motherfucking triggers, because we're so limited. There's no creativity. I'm literally stuck in a construct put in by the language that I'm speaking, okay? And then if someone knows a different language, they don't even know English, they're not hearing me, and all they're gonna hear is this crazy man speaking this frequency where I don't know anything they're saying, because I don't have that code. So if you're gonna give me the codes of the language, and I've got them, and I'm gonna run the codes of the language against the participation and the triggering point, what happens when I get to a point to where I've defined each of them? Then I'm gonna move, and if I'm in measure, time, and I can do it faster than everyone. Well, not only do I get to get the point of control by way of influence, but there's no limit, you see what I mean? Because everyone else would be moving as a reflection to me. I get to decide. Well, the problem with that is if anybody wakes up and looks at who's sitting at the point of control, authority in today's society, well, there's a plan for us and you. And so that's why I say these times are very profound, because there's a matrix code to this physical reality. I'm going to say it's the markets. And you can just look and see everything happening. Because what I just described to you, what I'm looking at right now by way of frequency, but it's also a manifestation of what's happening physically. It's just I'm witnessing it in the matrix code through the markets. And I would honestly say there's a whole hell of a lot more truth in this stuff than all of the illusions we hear in the narrative. The only way you're going to get any real truth is just to go out in the first matrix. That's Earth, nature. Get outside of language. Don't get outside of language. Cancel out language. Get into tones and vibrations. That's where you want to be, in the first matrix. And then you'll be able to look into the language and see what I'm saying. You'll be able to recognize, oh, I've been looking at this as the double top and all this bullshit, but you don't even know that it's just programs and codes. Anyways, I think I made my point. But see, look at what's even happening. It's just mind-blowing to me that here in the Nasdaq market that I've been able to ride as a frequency has gotten to the point to where every participant that comes into the game, it's going to be matched. I'm matched. I'm on both sides of price, and you think you may have thought you had edge. So this is where it gets. You may have thought you've had edge, but this is now the wave of frequency of vibrations that's coming through that people will describe as truth by way of frequency. It's going to impact you. If you enter the trade, I've been triggered to take the trade. Well, to what degree am I aware of the trade that I've placed? Well, if I'm in this time that this crazy guy is talking about, there's going to be this wave of truth that's going to blow by, and it's going to reflect. Boom, it's going to manifest to what degree am I even aware of it? So basically what I'm just saying is, profound time, let's start paying attention. You can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. Stop lying about the market. Stop lying about everything. You don't know, you don't know. And it's the most beautiful thing to surrender into the not knowing and be. Just be who you are. Even you don't have to know. Just be and move with truth and honesty. And that's how you really get to live and really trade and really have fun with it, because I'm surrendering to this wave. And you're going to have to, because you're not going to have any choice to when the truth comes through. What is true will be true, period. So I'll stop. I kind of went on a preach there. Sorry about that.
I love it. Great trades come from within. That's what that's all about. Like that. And I made a video on this a long time ago, but the only true edge that I see is just you being yourself and applying that to the market. All this other technical edge stuff it's cool when it works. I was also triggered into the thought that not too long ago, to where I've had a lot of different strategies, and I had some that worked really great, some where it gave me a 90+%, win rate. And it's for like stuff like that. It's cool when it works, but when it doesn't, it's not so cool. Just to kind of summarize it simply. One other thing I did want to kind of, you mentioned how this is everything that happens in the world, right? You can see it in the markets, and I think like this is the one place that you can see like the world comes to play and all and in one place, so to speak, and you get to see the footprint of that. So like how we see things play out in the quote unquote real world. We get it's all over the place in the real world, right? But once we come to the markets, we get to see it all in one place, and we get to see the footprint of that by the way of the charts and the other things that we look at to make trading decisions.
That is a beautiful way of saying it, and it smacks. That's what they're saying these days. It smacks. Man, I get tickled by the language, watching it just change through time. Good God, man. Mm-hmm. I remember when my generation was creating the language of the time. Like we were coming up with ours was, you remember Chill?
Yep.
And Sketch? Man, the dude's so sketch. That was my generation. Then you got all this now. It's just, when are we gonna wake up to the puppeteering that's been happening for centuries, millennia? We could trace back human history to 5239 BC. Good God, man. Who are we now? We're extremely dumbed down. That's what I'm going to say. There's a lot of positives in it now, but if I'm looking at it by way of frequency, because there's a lot of bad, there's this spark. Because that exists, there's an exact opposite to it, and that's happening now too. So That needs to be brought out. Like, we really need that shit. Anyways, I'm gonna stop. Look how they're doing I every time, because I've got the order flow going too. So I'm used to listening to the pattern each day. So I get to listen to the rhythm of the beat change by way of vibrating. And it's so crazy because when you hold that connection on top of witnessing, observing, experiencing, participating in the footprint, what happens is you're riding the dragon in a very spiritual sense, for real. I'm riding a dragon when I'm playing in the market, and I'm holding a high, deep degree of awareness to the function of the exchange that I'm participating by way of frequency. So if I've got this thing where I'm listening to the energy as certain things are transacting, and there's this programming that's happening with the season, we'll say season, with the quarter, the seasonality, the week, from week to week. But now there gets to be what I call themes. So when the theme changes, what I've witnessed is it doesn't go back. We lose in a sense that degree of awareness to even what has changed, because you weren't even there in the game to really hold the responsibility of what was happening with this wave of energy coming through. So it's interesting with the theme now. The theme now is I'm gonna find liquidity, and then once I found it, I did what I needed to do, and I'm gonna let the market do the rest. Well, check this out. The market has no fucking clue what that means as a responsibility to be put in the position where I'm now deciding price. Believe it or not, contrary to popular opinion, that retail has you guys mean everything to price. In fact, there's going to be moments that unfold in time where retail literally is on price. Where if the retail side was aware of what was happening, spread out among participation in the game, oh my God, basically it wouldn't be in the world that we're in today. You see what I mean? That's why this becomes the matrix code of the reality, literally. If I'm aware of the code that I'm making in this space, well, then I'm going to have to hold the responsibility. But see, the thing is, now we're in the time where you don't need to. I got AI to do it for you. Chill, bro. Chill. Why are you cooking all the time? You need to just chill. AI can do all that for you. So what do you want to do? You want to play a game? I got the best game. You want to get high? I got the best drugs. You need to take this vaccine too, by the way. Anyways, let me just stop. Because it's like... But then I'm looking at price right now, and I'm seeing it stop. So remember I said there's these moments where retail can influence price. This would be a moment right now. I'm not going to tell you to what degree of influence you would have, because it's not up to me. I'm not going to dare say I know what's going to happen and it's up to me and all of this shit. Here's what I'm trying to say. You need to get in it. If you can hear me and I'm speaking to you from the inside and you can feel it vibrate from the inside, I'm talking to you. You need to get in it. You need to quit playing around, hold the responsibility of the time, because there's going to be a moment in the future, not too distant one, where there's going to be a wave of energy that comes through. I'm going to describe it as truth. And we're going to really get to experience full spectrum what that means. Now, depending upon where you are to the degree of the experience, it may trigger you completely to where you're being puppeteered is the thing. So and then that would be the truth of the scene. You wouldn't be here for the experience. you would lose yourself in the experience is basically what I'm going to say if you're not here. But then it could be argued that a lot of people aren't here. They've already lost themselves in the experience, and there's just degrees of awareness where I come to it and I get to have a breath and I'm like, oh shit, man, this is crazy. Anyways, I can stop. But yeah, I'm gonna stop.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Definitely stuff that needs to be, put out there. And I was saying, and
it's not for everyone.
It's
not for everyone too. So that's another thing I'm gonna say to you, Rob. Man, don't be. If it is, it is. But check this out. There is. If you pay attention to what is, because it is, there's going to be an exact opposite to it. So if I'm seeing something as low and I'm feeling abundant, man, there is so much abundance in this low thing that I'm looking at, whatever I'm perceiving, that if I just vibrate from the inside to that higher state of seeing, man, and then I'll really see what's happening. And then what'll happen is that'll trigger me from the inside to really be what I see. And then I move, man. Just don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Especially not now, man. Especially not now. And it's not for everyone. And that's just the truth of it. Because you get to choose. And everyone doesn't want to hold the point of view. Like, that's all bullshit, man. Fuck you. I want to be dumb and fat and get everything I want by AI. And that's okay too. You know what? Good for you. I want you to do that too. But here's where we've got a problem. When you force your view on everyone, because I wouldn't dare do that to you. Don't you dare do that to me, because I now see what you're doing. What you force on me, what you're forcing on me. No. In fact, you're going to trigger me to level up. So if we continue to go through these waves, man, I guess there's going to be more to be said from me, where I'm going to have to step on the stream and we're going to have to call out some stuff. But again, this isn't for everyone, because everyone can't even, it's just not. And you can't fake it either. All right, I'm done.
Yeah. Appreciate you, definitely appreciate you. And yeah, there definitely is no stop if I'm especially going to operate let me put it this way. So when you operate from just being, and that's something that I just try to, something that comes up for me a lot, just being, right? And where I've removed the concept of good and bad and just, left and right and black and white thinking. And just, it is no good or bad, it just is, right? So if I'm still maintaining truth to self and I'm operating from just being, whatever I'm meant to do as a being, it's gonna happen, right? And so from that perspective, if it stops, it's because it was meant to stop, because my being just wanted it to stop. But if I keep going with it, then that's because, I don't have to think about it. I just gotta be, right? So, from that lens, there's nothing in my being to stop whatsoever. And, even though there can be, if there's one way, there's also another way. So there's going to be, if I feel a certain way about something, there's going to be a counter feeling. And the way to...
That's what you need to do, Rob. I want you to help me out for your next stream Monday. I need you to walk me through being. What does being mean when it relates to the market? Like, let's do it live, man. So I'm gonna take a trade, right? And this is me being. These are the degrees of awareness that I'm measuring, that I'm just gonna be. And this is the surrendering. And then you just speak to it, man. Because when you say that, I know you know what that means, but the thing that I'm witnessing is that in and of itself being. What the hell does that even mean? Like, for real though, because that can be confusing in and of itself, especially when it comes to trading.
Yep, yeah, I like that. So yeah, so it'll be Friday. It won't be Monday. It won't be a stream Monday. Got other stuff to do, and I was actually about to go into that, but we're at the end of today's stream, so that's a good one to hold into for Friday, because I was triggered into. I see that question a lot, like especially on places like Reddit and stuff, to where people know that they have like personal like issues outside of just the technical side of trading, but they don't know how to, like, I had this issue for a while, to where I knew I had like an internal thing that was holding me back, but nobody talks about this stuff like on a deep level, so I didn't really have the solution. I had to find it for myself. But anyway, so that'll be like the lead up for the next stream, which would be next Friday, and we'll just kind of explore that naturally. Anyway, so with all that being said, today I didn't really have any. I'm just gonna call this a no trade day. I had some triggers that were in places I didn't want them to be, so I opted. There's always a choice. So I took the choice not to take them, and just gonna have, So that just summarizes my movement.
One last thing I want to speak to as a debrief with you just saying that conclusion from your point of view. By not participating in this space and time that just went down now, what did you not participate in? Well, here's going to be my little summary report. This literal auction block created by that opening volume, that transaction has not stopped. Those two, we'll say there's a wave of code around that connection. And there has to be a wave of code around the connection. So if I'm going to talk to you and we're going to be on the line communicating, there are constructs that bring us together. And there's going to be some that are so real, they're by way of frequency. So we're physically connecting through the technology. So if that didn't exist, it would not manifest in this way. So if I'm a buyer and I'm a seller and we're transacting, there's going to be a wave of construct to which we have to agree. See, that right there should trigger a lot of beings to see the degree of the programming, the design to it. Everybody says it's random. If you're saying that the market is random, that's because you're seeing it randomly. But let me tell you, everything, especially nowadays, it's exact to the exact degree. Fuck around and find out. Okay? And you'll just keep your random ass randomly going in and out is what'll happen. But there's a design to it. And part of that design is that buyer and a seller having this is what happens. This is a physical manifestation of what it looks like on the chart when they have a connection where it's almost like a contractual agreement. Their connection is very much like this call we're on, this one we're on. Very similar, because I'm gonna hold the block and it's exact to the construct. Like I'm limited. I can't just grab your hand and say do this or we can't be physically in the same space, but see, we can still have, in a way, we can mimic or replicate the connection. So that's going to represent a wave. So I can speak. So like we're speaking through the language from the expression from inside, and you can hear me. See, that can be transmitted electronically. See what I mean? So that's giving you a layer of truth to the sound. See, that can be transmitted. Why? Because it's so true. Sound's going to have more truth to a lot of our point of view than really quite a bit of things. And it's going to hold true even in this connection that we're speaking. So anyways, I'm trying to just say that I can confidently, 2 degrees of awareness, say that there is a contract between a very real buyer and a seller. Now that does open up the possibility where it's just one entity. But let me get back to the point, because I'm holding you after. But I do want to speak to this. You did not participate in this contractual agreement that took place at the open, and it's still going now. We're almost an hour into it. It's still going now. Still inside that agreement. So everyone else inside, not aware of this, is being finessed, is the new word that I'm using. You're being finessed by the market. So you can do the random thing, you can run your probabilities, you can do all those things, but if you're not aware of the agreements that are happening, the real buyer, the real seller, and where they are. And then you're watching and observing how they're going back and forth. And then you go, oh, I see where exactly you are. And then when the buyer gets, when you get your, the opposite trade gets up there, you're cool. You know, I'm gonna feel here, and then there's an agreement, and then they stop. I'm gonna get my size here, then I'm gonna sell it back to you. Okay? I need you to buy up here, because I need to fill my obligations here with my business I've got to transact. And I will fill you down there because of the obligation with your business that you have to transact. And we can do all this in front of everybody, right in front of their face. Why? Because we control the language. And all I got to do is just do my movement. They're stuck in the language, not seeing the truth of what's happening. But here's how you get to the truth. You can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself about the markets. Hold the responsibility of your honesty. If you don't know, move with truth and love. Be honest. You don't have the honesty, move with love, intent. Be positive. Go to the positive, love, intent. And here's also another thing. That's easy to say, but from my experience, more than often, those times where I don't know, and the default is love and positivity, it's hard to do. Man, it's so hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when you got to do it, and you know it's hard to do. I want you to smile and smirk now, because you're going to do it, and you're going to see the fruit of it. Let's go. All right, man. Have a great weekend.
I think that's a good note to go ahead and close it out on. So I hope everybody who tuned in, I appreciate you all for coming through. Appreciate the comments, all the comments in the chat. And until next time, trade it easy.